This is Man of Metropolis with Seth Travis. Today's guest is Ian Quinlan. I'm Seth Travis. I'm a creative director here in New York City and also founder of Man of Metropolis and Metropolis Report. Hey, welcome to Man of Metropolis. I'm Seth Travis, and today we're here with Ian Quinlan, who stars in the new Mark Millar Jupiter's Legacy as Hutch. I'm calling it with the sick mohawk. Could we add like a hyphenate Hutch with the sick mohawk? But we're here to talk to him about this awesome superhero show and series on Netflix that's just added to the streaming platform. A little bit more about his background as growing up in New York City as an actor. We're obviously going to talk about fashion and this incredible photo shoot he did exclusively for Man of Metropolis. And we'll maybe get into some other fun things before we wrap up. Ian, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. And yeah, that photo shoot was amazing. I had so much fun doing that.
You were amazing. Seriously. No, I'm serious. I got the proofs and I was like really blown away. You know, we shoot a lot of models and it's sort of their job, you know, right? 7 days a week to pose and do all of that kind of stuff and give us a lot of sort of energy and vibe. And I was like looking through their proofs when I got them from your team and I was so impressed. There were so many good ones to choose from.
Thank you so much. Yeah, my stylist Britt Theodore, she found a lot of great stuff, and I was just like living in the clothes, like just channeling my inner LL Cool J. The Gucci she got was awesome. It made me feel like Cristiano Ronaldo meets like some sort of like soccer hooligan. It was awesome.
I like it. Actually, some of my favorite picks. Well, there are two parts of the series are my favorite. The skateboarding ones on the roof.
Oh yeah,
because you were just giving so much energy and it was so much fun and it was totally, you know, I feel like summer 2021 has this very hopeful energy to it, so just giving me that. And then you kind of had some sort of sultry sexy ones with the quilt and you're like upside down and your striped sweater, so you're gonna probably get some new followers from those pictures.
Hey, hopefully.
Well, thanks for getting together with us on Zoom today.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So where are you at? Are you based in the city?
Yeah, I'm over here in Queens right now. I'm actually born and bred in Queens. I moved around a lot, but yeah, I'm back here now. Yeah, waiting to get back for hopefully season 2.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, you know, before we talk about Jupiter's Legacy, which is incredible, it's so fun. It's a little edgier than your typical superhero series, closer to kind of like the Boys vibe on Amazon.
Yeah.
I'd love to kind of let our viewers and listeners get to know you a little bit better, just about your background in acting. How did you get started in the city?
Totally. Yeah. So like I said, I'm a native New Yorker. And I started acting actually really young, probably around like 5. I was doing commercials. My mom tells the story that like she used to walk by my room and she would hear all these voices coming from inside, and then she'd open the door and it would just be me in like a Calvin and Hutch kind of like towel cape with like my action figures all lined up in some sort of battle sequence. And she was like, and I'd be like, shut the door. Like all embarrassed. And then so she thought that might be a good acting would be a good outlet for me. So then I started doing like music of the heart as a kid with Meryl Streep because I also played violin. Okay. And then I did the Lion King on Broadway for a year, which was cool.
Amazing. I did not know that.
Yeah, coincidentally, my big Simba was Chris Jackson, who you know, for like Hamilton.
Yeah.
And Bull. Yeah.
Wow. What a start. I mean, those memories you have.
Oh man, it was a blast. Like being a kid in New York, getting to leave school early on a Wednesday to be on Broadway was like pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
And then, go ahead. Yeah.
No, please keep going.
All right. And then I decided I had a passion for it. I developed real passion for it in high school, doing like plays and stuff. Got a passion for directing there too. So then I actually went to Fordham University for acting and directing. And and then I just got out of school and I was doing it ever since.
That's incredible. What a way to start too. I mean, getting to be in something like Lion King, but also getting your start in New York City. There's kind of like a grit and an authenticity, I think, of getting your start in acting in this city. And we're so happy to have you today. I'd love to, you know, jump into this kind of superhero genre. I know you have a little bit of experience with being in Gotham. So I would love to kind of talk about Gotham and then we'll jump in and talk about Hutch, if that's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So with the Gotham project, you know, I would love to kind of understand what it was like being a part of. I mean, Batman is I'm, aside from Superman and maybe Captain America, I feel like Batman is sort of this character and story that even if you don't read the comic books, most people kind of know the background of Batman and Bruce Wayne and Catwoman and on and on and on and on, and kind of that sort of that universe of just his story. What was it like to get pulled into a project like that and be in Gotham?
Oh man. So I love Batman. I'm a huge Batman fan. I love all the villains of Batman. I love the story of Batman. I love his whole narrative. So that was really cool. When I used to go out for the nerdy guy who never gets the girl. That was like my type for a little
Really?
while. Yeah, I was like total dork, comedy, nut job, whatever. And then I really wanted to try something different. And when Gotham came around, I called my agents and I said, hey, like, there's this part for this murderer, Victor Zsasz, who's season one. He's the bald guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know I'm not going to get it. I know I'm not what they're looking for, but can you just ask them if I can just show them what I can do? And they granted me an audition. So then I came in and I showed a darker side of what I could do. And that's when they brought me in later on for Carl Pinkney, this officer for Gotham. So I was like, okay, great. So, and then, yeah, with Gotham, it's just like, there's this, it's a prequel to Batman. So we're learning about, Jim Gordon and all that stuff in this corrupt town. And it's such a wacky universe because you have these like outlandishly large villains, all well acted by these characters and these actors. And I just thought it was a dream come true to kind of play into this world of like super crazy villains. And there's like, you can't even get to work without somebody trying to hijack the train. Yeah.
It's interesting to hear that you had to kind of reach out to your agent to kind of like help you pitch, I guess, you as a different type of character, right? Maybe not like the wholesome boy next door type guy, right? But the bad guy or the edgy character. Is that something that you feel like being in Gotham and being in that role paved the way for you to play Hutch in Jupiter's Legacy?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It was like as soon as I booked Gotham, I started booking a lot of soldier roles. I was doing Long Road Home, which was where I played an actual real life soldier in a battle in April 4th, 2004.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think that's a kind of thing that happens in our industry. Like actors, like when you first meet an actor, people kind of tend to pigeonhole or like say, oh, you're really good at this, or you're really good at that, or they even ask you like, who's having your career right now? So like, I remember that was like a big question in college. And then, but actors are always trying to grow and be versatile.
Sure.
So I wanted to show, we have to constantly show different sides and ask for a chance to show something new so we can actually put that on a person's radar. And so I think that definitely paved the way for Hutch, because Hutch is a character that's very dear to my heart. I really, really like him a lot. I think there's a lot we have in common, though maybe not in terms of implementation. I think this guy is like really he's not struggling, but I would say he's fighting against systems that I believe are of oppression, really, and kind of and he's an antiquated bureaucracy, and this guy who's kind of maybe I haven't had as a tough a life as he has, but I have grown up biracial and I've seen like what I call I've definitely seen two Americas, like I think Hutch has.
Yeah.
I think this guy, my white side of the family, American dream, white, 2.5 kids, 2-income family. Black side is like, there's a lot of people who have made a lot of themselves. However, there was a lot of unnecessary struggle that they had to go through. And I think that's something that Hutch kind of sees, that like you have these superheroes who have lived for over 100 years, who even before they got their powers were billionaires. What have they ever really known of struggle? And what do they know about the everyman's experience? And here is this guy who's kind of had his life ruined by these people. And so this term of Jupiter's legacy, I think he's constantly trying to present a counter narrative to what the legacy that they present is.
Absolutely. And Hutch has a little bit of a love story in this season. How much are you allowed to share, without too much spoiler alerts about that kind of dynamic? Because obviously it's definitely with Josh Duhamel's character's daughter, And so you guys are kind of on different sides of the track, if you will. So I don't know if you can talk a little bit more about that kind of part of the story of Hutch.
Totally. I'd say it's like Mark Miller likes to say that Romeo and Juliet, it's the son of the world's greatest supervillain falling in love with the daughter of the world's greatest superhero. I see them a little bit with like a hint of Sid and Nancy.
Okay.
Like, from the Sid Vicious from the Sex Pistols and his wife, his girlfriend Nancy. Yeah, it's like they're both a little wild. And yeah, I think that there's this beautiful love story that's happening where you meet these two people who are trying to break out of their sort of identities that people slapped on them. You know, they're trying to like she doesn't want to inherit. She doesn't want to follow in her father's footsteps. And Hutch barely knows his father.
Yeah.
And both kind of envy the other side or resent the other side, and then they kind of meet each other and they see, oh, like the grass is not greener, and also like you're a Spitfire. I think they kind of, and I love that they're constantly challenging each other and one-upping each other, and like they're both kind of hotheads. Yeah, and it gets pretty heated and hot and heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I think for those who haven't gotten a chance to start the series too, it's something where I think there's like an ideal, right? Especially for Josh Duhamel's character of truth, hope, and justice, and all that kind of stuff that we're used to with comic book characters, right? But this is an edgy series. I mean, we have language. There's a moment that you kind of like appear in an apartment space and interrupt something, and I was kind of like, wow, So I think maybe you can take a moment, and I'll stop talking and allow you to kind of pitch maybe to people out there that are streaming everything and have every platform, but maybe are feeling like tired of superhero shows or series. Like, how is Jupiter's Legacy different, and why should they watch?
Yeah, what I really love, so you compared it to The Boys earlier, and I think I love The Boys, and I really enjoy what they're doing on from their angle. I think it's a really interesting take on like what if superheroes were actually like sociopaths and psychopaths and uncontrollable madmen. And I feel like our show is a little similar, where we're seeing, like, it's not that necessarily, but we are seeing heroes flawed. We're seeing human beings who are like trying to be good, and everybody's trying to do their best, and you see these heroes who fail many times, and you see them not always being the perfect role model or the perfect citizen. And you see, they battle their own demons and their own darkness and their own shadows. And I think that's really interesting too. I think that's like such a close look at what happens when the hero has to go home and is like carrying their suit home from the dry cleaners. It's like, oh, like they're really just a person, what they kind of struggle with. And it's so interesting that sort of, all the power and in the world can't really fix certain problems.
Yeah.
Can't really like heal certain wounds, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would love to ask you just about kind of like, obviously life has sort of changed for all of us in the last year or so. I've seen you on Instagram stories, which are really fun and funny and enjoyable. And it feels like you have this lighthearted guy who's just like enjoying life. And I guess I wanted to ask you, what are you up to right now? Like, are you kind of in between projects? Are you preparing for something else? Like, how are you just sort of enjoying life aside from what I've seen on Instagram?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm definitely riding the high. I wrapped personally shooting in November 2019. So I've been just waiting for this to come out. So these past few weeks have been like super surreal and super great, and enjoying every second of it. To finally share with the world. But I think, let's see. So right now I'm in between projects for sure, like waiting to hear about season 2. Then I've been doing a lot of writing. Like during COVID, I started writing a lot. I've been writing a couple things, and actually I really got good at skateboarding. I really started playing around.
I believe you.
Yeah, it was fun. I think like, so I guess we can answer your question. So I do like to find joy in the day to day. I think we've had a really, really rough year and a half, and things are starting to get back to normal. And like, it's going to take us a minute to shake it off for sure. And I think what I've been thinking about is just like joy is so momentary, and these moments of bliss like you get on a good day, like it's like yeah, it's really important to take those moments and to really enjoy them as full as possible because you really don't know when the next one's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been like, during COVID, I picked up some cooking, picked up skateboarding, started surfing, you know.
Oh, wow. Where are you surfing at?
Well,
Rockaway?
I was going to Rockaway, yeah. And then a couple friends of mine and we were like, "Do you have the time?" I was like, "I have the time." And we went to Hawaii for a month.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was nice
If
to
I scroll deep enough in your Instagram, will I find some surfing pics in Hawaii? I must have missed that.
I don't have any surfing pics. I only have the skateboard pic from where I was. Yeah, it's like I was too far away to get anything. Yeah, but
That's
hopefully I'll be
incredible,
seeing some
though.
soon. Yeah, it was a good time.
Good for you. I mean, hey, if you have the time and you can get away.
Yeah, yeah, which I was very fortunate. I was fortunate for that. Yeah.
I would love to talk fashion kind of before we wrap up. Obviously, we're lucky to be able to do this video series and podcast interview with you alongside, some really great fashion images, which, I think you said I forget the stylist. She's amazing. We talked to her over email, but I'd love to talk to you about your personal style as both an actor, but just, as a native New Yorker. Like, how have you developed your personal style, and kind of like, how would you define what that is right now?
Yeah, it's kind of evolved actually past few years. I would say like I used to be like very J. Crew. I used to be very like substitute teacher. Like a lot of Oxfords and
Okay.
yeah, and
Did you go to private
then
school growing up, or why was
I
that?
did.
Okay.
I did.
Well,
I went to Dalton, which for those at home who don't know, it's been mentioned in like 3 references: American Psycho, The Devil Wears Prada, and Gossip Girl.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Gossip Girl.
Right, yeah. Then it sort of evolved to like I got really into raw denim after a while. Raw
Okay.
denim and like cool sneaks. I used to actually, and I like to rock a lot of boots, sort of like Alden's or Johnson and Murphy's,
Okay.
like that sort of heritage look, like shoes or suits from the 1920s, or like a little bit of like woodsman flannel mixed with some
Yeah.
raw denim. Yeah,
See,
I
do
love
you
it.
like Double RL?
Double RL. I don't think I
You
know
know
Double
it?
RL.
Oh, you got to go discover that. Go to the Double RL store in Soho. It's Ralph Lauren's kind of 1920s haberdashery.
Oh yes.
Levi's. Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
Love that. Yeah, and um, then I've gotten a lot into like skate culture. So like a little more grungy, like more shredded jeans, a lot more Vans are in my closet now. Been wearing a lot more like All Saints and like ripping some stuff up, like ripping off
Nice.
collars and things and sleeves. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I thought like I love a good coat. I love a good coat that can last forever. So I have a shot leather that I've always wanted my entire life. Yeah. Does this answer your question, or am I just like ranting
No,
about it that I like?
I'm just taking it all in. It's fascinating for me because, when we shoot like fashion editorial, we're reaching out to like Dior and Gucci and pulling stuff off the runway. But also I think during the pandemic, I've become extremely aware of skateboard culture and TikTok. And I think there's a very specific fashion kind of aesthetic with like the big TikTok boys and girls, if you will. But also I think skate culture is a very, very interesting culture, and how it's impacting fashion, both high fashion and sort of like your typical like mall store fashion. So it's great for me to hear, someone like you just tell us, about what you're into. And even as an actor, right? Like you're going in, you're interacting with costume designers, you're interacting with stylists, for promotional media shoots like you did for us. And it's just great to kind of hear your pulse of what's out there.
You know what, I'll tell you, I have never worn Gucci before until the photo shoot. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh wow, I get it.
Yeah.
I was like, I finally put it on and I was like, oh yeah. Yeah. I'm like, this is like, I feel like I said, Cristiano Ronaldo. I was like, I'm like some like upscale fashion soccer player icon. Like I get this. Yeah, let's play.
Nice. I like it. Well, I guess in your free time, you should just go try some Prada on in Soho. Just try it on.
Just see how it feels. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just, I don't own Prada, but it's fun sometimes to go play dress up in Soho.
Yeah, for sure. I like that.
So I guess as we wrap up, I would love to give you a heads up on our final question, just to give you some time to kind of think about it as we talk about you as an actor. But I like to, sometimes when these interviews are over the phone or they're over email, it gives the actor time to process and then answer the questions. But I usually wrap up with words to live by. So anticipate that question now as we wrap up. And then that's kind of what we'll end on. But, I know you said you're in between projects and flying high, as you should be with Jupiter's Legacy. It's something you filmed back in 2019. You mentioned earlier that you're doing a little bit of writing. Obviously, your background in theater is super interesting. Broadway's reopening in September. Do you have any plans to maybe do like an independent short film with friends in New York? Have you considered maybe directing something?
Yes, I have. Actually, I wrote an independent short film that is supposed to be a very New York story that is actually based on a real instance that happened to me in my life when I used to work in hotels. My day job used to be in hotels.
Oh.
And yeah. So
what did you do in a hotel?
I was a front desk person.
Okay. So you saw it all.
You see everything. You see everything that's so, and it's like, there's some beautiful moments. Like I help some people arrange proposals, like people are getting ready to propose, or like a family trying to have a great Christmas even when they're snowed in and their flight was canceled, or like, people who want to get into some strange stuff. I didn't help them, but I was like, but I had to facilitate. I didn't help them, but I was like, hey,
I'm not a facilitator of strange stuff.
Right. But like, hey, noise complaint, live your best life, but maybe give it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for another short film. That scene.
That's for a different short film. Yeah. But I love, there's something really beautiful about a hotel that's sort of like, for me, is like a microcosm of America.
Yeah.
It's like people from all different walks of life who come here to make a dream come true. And I think especially there are really interesting hotels in New York City that are just sort of iconic and really capture the vibe. Like, I don't know if you saw that Netflix show, Pretend It's a City.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
my husband and I literally say, pretend it's a city almost every day when we walk in the sidewalk.
I was like, thank you somebody for saying that New York has a soul. Like, remember when New York had like, people think they come here as transients and they're like, oh, I didn't know native New Yorkers existed. It's like, yeah, we're here. Like there's a whole culture here. We love for you to be a part of it. But for some reason you think this is just like a place, an empty place of business. I don't know.
Yeah. This is not Disney World. People live here.
Right. Yeah. And I want to capture that New York soul that I've like grown up and loved so much. Yeah.
Can you maybe give us any insight of like where you are in the process of this short film? If you plan on shooting it this year?
We're gonna see. I'm shopping it around right now, and we'll see
Nice.
what we can do. Yeah, but it's like,
I love that.
Thank you.
It's always, it's funny because, and this growing up in New York, but it's like May and June before it gets like really hot and humid. It's like such a good window to shoot stuff outside. Nice. And then obviously like late September and all of October is like such a romantic time in New York that you could also get away with shooing outside. So
yeah, that's my favorite time.
As like your producer or whatever. But anyway, cool. Well, thank you so much for getting together with us. Now, without further ado, words to live by, my friend.
Yes. I will say something that has somebody taught me one time that has lingered with me for a long time, which is you don't know what you don't know. So I find that very true. And I like to use that whenever I walk into a new room or meet new people. That like we are so quick to sort of try to categorize or define a person, and like human beings are so beautiful in their individuality that like take the time to discover is how I've taken that phrase and like how I try to live my life.
That's excellent. That's great. It was great to meet you, over Zoom. We're so excited to have you part of the summer issue of Man of Metropolis. Ian Quinlan, starring as Hutch in Jupiter's Legacy. Best wishes on this special project potentially, and I hope you guys
thank you
up for season 2.
Appreciate it, Seth. It was so great talking to you.
You too, man. Take care. Have a great summer.
You too. Bye.
I'm Seth Travis. I'm a creative director here in New York City and also founder of Man of Metropolis and Metropolis Report. I'd like to thank today's guest, Ian Quinlan, starring in the new Netflix series, Jupiter's Legacy.